Linda, don't tell me you are going out like this. And who are those friends of yours calling you incessantly, asking you to hang out with them? Going to the nightclub? Linda looked at her mom and she protested, throwing some tantrum. Mom, what is wrong with what I'm wearing? And what is wrong with hanging out with Susie and her friends? They are good girls. Mom, don't worry. I'm 21. I can take care of myself. Amaka paused, looked at her daughter, Linda. Many years ago, I made a serious mistake when I was at your age. And that mistake almost cost me my life. Please, sit down. Let me tell you the story of my life. I got involved with Sandra and her friends. I didn't know they were involved in anything illegal. At first, it was just hanging out, having fun. But then it got worse. I started spending money I didn't have. I didn't question where it came from. I just wanted to fit in. I didn't know they were laundering money. But now, I'm part of it. I don't know how to get out. My parents will be disappointed. I am their only hope. They are working hard in the village to pay for my education. My mom used to tell me, remember the daughter of whom you are. Uncle, will I be jailed for this? Please help me. I'm too young to waste away in the prison. I won't survive it. Please help me. Amaka's world was simple and filled with humble beginnings. Her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Okonkwo, were petty traders in the bustling town of Nsukka. Their little shop, filled with provisions and the occasional fabric, was their lifeline. Despite their modest earnings, they believed in the transformative power of education and vowed to give their only daughter, Amaka, a better life than they had. Remember the daughter of whom you are, her mother would say as she placed a worn notebook into her hands. Her father's words followed. Amaka, the world will test you, and you must stand firm. Amaka took those words to heart. She was a brilliant student, outshining her peers in secondary school. Her teachers marveled at her dedication, and when her final result came out, she had the best grades in the entire district. The joy on her parents' faces made her promise herself she would never let them down. When she gained admission into the University of Lagos to study law, it was a moment of triumph. Her parents scrapped every naira to cover her fees, often skipping meals to save for her books. Stay focused, her father reminded her, his voice heavy with the sacrifices they had made. At first, Amaka thrived. She studied hard, earning a praise from her lecturers. But soon she began to notice the glittering lives of her peers. Some girls drove cars, wore designer clothes, and shared pictures of their exotic meals on social media. She started to feel the weight of her plain skirts and thrifted blouses. Her simple meals began to taste bland compared to pizza and shawarma her friends posted about. The envy grew, festering like a wound. Then she met Sandra and her clique, campus celebrities known for their extravagant lifestyles. They took Amaka under their wing, introducing her to a world of fancy restaurants, weekend getaways, and high-end boutiques. For the first time, Amaka felt like she belonged. She started skipping classes to hang out with them, justifying it with, "I will catch up later." But her grades began to slip. Dorothy, her childhood friend who also attended the same university, noticed the change. "Amaka, this isn't you," Dorothy said one evening as they walked back to the hostel. "You are losing focus. Remember where you came from." Amaka brushed her off. "Dorothy, you don't understand. I am tired of being the poor girl everyone pities. I deserve more." Dorothy sighed, her voice laced with frustration. "At what cost, Amaka? Your parents are sacrificing everything for you. Don't let them down." But Amaka had already fallen too deep. She started attending late-night parties, her textbooks gathering dust under her bed. Sandra introduced her to wealthy men who showered her with money and gifts. With each new designer handbag and jewelry piece, the image of her parents' humble shop faded further from her mind. One day, Dorothy found Amaka crying in their hostel room. Her mid-semester results were disastrous. She was on the brink of probation. "You can still turn things around," Dorothy pleaded. Amaka looked at her friend, tears streaming down her face, but said nothing. She picked up her phone instead and scrolled through Sandra's messages, promising herself that one more night out won't hurt. What Amaka didn't know was that her newfound lifestyle would soon spiral out of control, leading her into dangerous territory. Secrets from Sandra cliques began to surface, and whispers of deceit and betrayal reached her ears. A knock on her door one evening changed everything. Standing there was a man she didn't recognize, his face cold and unyielding. "Amaka Okonkwo," he said, his voice sending chills down her spine. Amaka froze. Who was he? What did he want? And why was Dorothy standing behind him, her face pale with fear? Amaka's heart pounded as she stared at the man in her doorway. He was dressed in a sharp black suit, his stern expression making her feel exposed. Dorothy avoided her gaze, wringing round her hands. "Yes, I'm Amaka," she managed to say, her voice barely above a whisper. The man's eyes narrowed. "We need to talk. It's about Sandra and her friends." "Sandra? What has she done?" She glanced at Dorothy, who looked like she wanted to disappear. Without waiting for an invitation, the man stepped into the room, his imposing presence filling the space. "Your friends have been involved in certain activities," his tone mentioned by embarrassing. "Fraud, to be specific. They have been laundering money through fake businesses, and the activities have caught the attention of the police." That's like felt weak. She sank onto her bed, her mind racing. Fraud? Money laundering? She had seen the expensive gifts, the endless shopping sprees, but she had never questioned where it all came from. "I don't know anything about that," she stammered. I'm just their friend." The man folded his arms. "Your name has come up in our investigation. You'll be seen with them attending their parties, spending money you can't possibly afford as a student. If you are involved, now is the time to talk." "I swear, I didn't do anything illegal," Amaka cried, tears welling up in her eyes. "I didn't know." Dorothy finally spoke, her voice trembling. "Amaka, this is serious. I tried to warn you about Sandra and those girls. They are bad news. The man stared at Amaka for a moment, as if trying to determine if she was telling the truth. If you are innocent, then you need to stay away from them. And if you have any information that could help us, you share it now. That evening, Sandra showed up at her hostel unannounced. She was wearing a designer jumpsuit and carrying a flashy handbag, but her confidence demeanor was gone. Amaka, we need to talk, Sandra said, her voice urgent. Amaka hesitated. I don't think that's a good idea, Sandra. Sandra stepped closer, her eyes pleading. Please, it is important. They are coming for us, and if you don't stick with us, you will be next. Amaka's blood ran cold. What do you mean? Who is coming for us? Sandra glanced around nervously before lowering her voice. The men who gave us the money. They think we betrayed them. They are looking for everyone in the group, including you. Amaka's heart raced. She had never taken money from anyone, but the thought of being associated with Sandra's crimes was terrifying. Amaka, Sandra continued grabbing her hand. We can fix this. I have a plan, but I need you to trust me. Dorothy snapped. Enough, Sandra. You have already ruined your own life. Leave Amaka out of this. Amaka looked between the two of them, her mind whirlwind of fear and indecision. She could hear distant voices outside the hostel. Authoritative and stern, the police were closer than she thought. Amaka quickly changed her clothes, while Dorothy was talking to Sandra. Amaka, trust me, Dorothy pleaded. Let's go. I will help you fix this, but we need to leave now. Sandra's eyes burned with anger. If you walk out of that door, Amaka, you're on your own. And trust me, the world outside isn't kind to people like you. Tears blurred Amaka's vision. This was a turning point, a moment that could decide her future. They had to make a choice, but every path seemed fraught with danger. Finally, she took a shaky breath and whispered, Dorothy, let's go. Dorothy didn't hesitate. She grabbed Amaka's hand, pulling her past Sandra and out of the room. The hallway was chaotic, with students speaking out of their rooms, murmuring about the commotion. Amaka and Dorothy moved quickly, keeping their heads low as they slipped out of the hostel through a back exit. As they hurried down the dimly lit path, Dorothy spoke in a hushed tone. You will go to my uncle's house. He is a lawyer. He can help you clear your name. Amaka nodded, her heart pounding with fear and uncertainty. Behind them, he could hear faint shouts and the sound of footsteps growing louder. Just as they reached the edge of the compound, a voice called out, Amaka Okonkwo, stop right there.